So, hello, this is definitely a video game podcast. I'm Ari, and I like games, I guess.
I'm Kyra, and I also allegedly enjoy the videoed games.
The video games, man, I didn't know they were so important that they're the video games now.
The videoed games.
Videoed games! Oh, wonderful.
The games have been videoed, folks. And there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. You know a videoed game that you literally cannot escape recently?
Fortnite.
That is also a valid answer, but I'm never going to play that one.
I have. It's fine.
Well, yeah,
I played it three times
fine.
and that was enough.
It's fine. It's definitely a fine game, but I do not want to play it because multiplayer games with voice chat are pretty bad for me.
Yeah, I played it on Switch, which has no microphone.
Ah, okay, well, that's good then. I mean, if I had, an entire life to throw in the bin, basically, if I could just throw my entire life in the bin, I would pick up Fortnite and play it regularly.
Well, the good thing I noticed in my handful of play sessions in that game is if you do nothing and hide like a stupid coward, you tend to score quite well.
Okay. You
So
heard it here first, folks. Like advanced.
Yeah, those are my elite strats.
Yeah, elite strats.
Avoidance and cowardice.
Anyway, Fortnite. There was something else I wanted to say about that one. Oh yeah, did you see that article that it's been cited in more than 200 divorce settlements over the past year in the UK?
It kind of worries me that that many people old enough to have marriages are getting divorced over a cartoon game.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm never gonna play it. I'm one of those sensitive people that actually, for whom griefing actually gets to them, and also with my recent experience in multiplayer games, I've tried to pick up Team Fortress 2 again recently.
Oh, that trash fire.
Yeah, it's a trash fire, but I mean, some people say it's a nice trash fire. My friend MC thinks it's a nice trash fire, but
the game is, sorry, the game exists, and you can play it, and it looks, 15 years old, but
it looks 15 years old, and the impeccable visual design has been entirely ruined by particle effects and hats. It's interesting, but more importantly, the reason why I am hesitant to play, multiplayer games online these days is that you can literally count to 10 as you join a server, and you'll hear the R slur being used within that time frame. It's incredible.
That's less of a these days and more of a I want to say decade. 12,
yeah,
13
that's
years.
the thing. I used to be the shitty kid that wouldn't mind that slur being used, but
you grew and transcended gamer.
I did, but
and now you've ascended to writer.
I have, and it has changed me fundamentally, and I can never recapture my past. But anyway, screw Fortnite, screw Team Fortress 2. What we're here to talk about is the other game that you cannot escape, especially if you're on Twitter or on YouTube, where the algorithm fucking throws videos about that game at you all the dang time. I'm talking about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Kai, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm not into Melee. I think it's fine, but like I'm not like into the competitive scene. I wash. I know what fun is. I don't. I'm not like violently misanthropic towards people who like to enjoy things. But I do like the GameCube controller, and I got the copy that comes with a GameCube controller, and I don't like it because of like. I think me and Competitive Smash likes the GameCube controller for the same reasons, but my explanation for my reasoning isn't full of slurs. And my explanation is that it's very accessible.
Yeah, that's very true. It's a very, like... It feels really nice in your hands, and then there's the fact that, like, the A button, your thumb rests on the A button. It's really good.
Yeah, I wish the differentiated face buttons were the standard, honestly. Because it just means you can't get lost. You don't have to look if you can't get misaligned.
Yeah.
You just can't, because you always know exactly where you are.
Misalignment, though. I'm sure you've seen that Pan and Cock video, right? I mean, that's a classic by now.
The QPUs.
Yes, the QPUs. Do you suppose Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has parallel universes?
No, because it's an Unreal 4 game, which means it uses... I forget what the name... But what the specific name is, but game universes have two ways of handling static collision. One way is that the world is empty, and... Oh, that's it, additive and subtractive. Additive worlds are empty, and then have collision added into them, and subtractive worlds are full, and then have empty spaces carved out of them. And I'm not sure if it's still the case, but in Unreal 3... worlds were subtractive by default because that would run faster.
Parallel universes, though, whenever I think of them, at least these days, because I've read this book very recently, actually, I think of the French book by seminal Oulipo writer Georges Perec, A Man Asleep. Because in the beginning of that one, the guy is basically going out to his university exams and writing them and going back home and feeling good about himself, and then you realize it was all just a parallel, hypothetical universe, and he actually stayed in bed all day. Because he is depressed.
Yeah, big mood.
Yeah, this is a big mood, especially like with how university's been going for me. I mean, my university education, I'm grateful for the literature part of it, because I feel like there's a lot of like useful stuff there, and I've actually like had a lot of nice experiences because of that. But I don't like my university studies very much anymore. I'm just sort of like trying to trudge to the end right now, and I think it shows in how much effort I'm putting into things.
That does sound like my experience of education, which I stopped at college, which in the UK is a thing before university, just to clarify. Honestly, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to keep it up. Because I'm super depressed. But look at it this way. I have functionally no money in the bank, and I have 2 drinks. So...
Two drinks?
Yeah, I have cold tea and colder water, so I think I'm doing okay for myself.
I mean, yeah, I'd say so too. But either way, there was something I wanted to say about that. What was it? Oh yeah, of course. I think that, especially recently, I felt a lot like the main character in Hermann Hesse's book, Beneath the Wheel, which is about societal, parental, and academic expectations being put on a young man who goes into university, and like in the end fucking dies because of all the pressure and stress. And
mood.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm being crushed beneath a wheel.
Yeah,
a metaphorical wheel, and yeah. I mean, Hermann Hesse was a Nobel Prize laureate, so I mean, there must be a lot of truth to what he wrote. Am I right, fellas?
There are no fellas here.
That's true. I'm talking to hypothetical fellas who might listen, who probably are not actually listening.
Yeah, no.
Ideally, Sorry?
The only person I can check, but the only person I know for sure has listened to this is female.
Well, ideally, our listenership will remain entirely female.
We have one download, but that was me by accident.
Oh, okay.
And we have 3 plays. 0 likes, 0 embeds, 0 playlists, 0 follows, 0 comments, 9 visits, most of them me. Because I was checking. Soon I'll try and
I haven't even listened to the previous podcast we did yet. I really hope it won't be a bad surprise.
It's fine.
Weren't we supposed to talk about something, though? About something other than navel-gazing, like, self-deprecation?
I do want to say that I have been recommended podcasts with worse audio quality than ours. So,
okay.
We at least produce more premium content than some people with actual audiences.
That's incredible. I love that.
Premium content. Yeah.
Feel the quality.
That was way better. You have a much better setup for doing close talking.
Let the quality massage your brains.
Yeah, I'm already almost out of water. Because I haven't been drinking enough.
Oh no!
It's fine.
We're not even 15 minutes into this thing yet, Kai.
Yeah, and?
You had an entire pint of water. How did you drink all of that so fast?
I've only drank 2/3 of a pint, and also about 150 milliliters of cold tea.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad.
No, that's 4. That's Wii U and 3DS. That's the wrong song.
Oh no! Hold on. Yeah, that's another thing though. Like fucking Smash Brothers theme. The themes for Super Smash Brothers games just kind of blend together after a while. There's so many of them.
No, not from like I don't fucking know or care what the Melee or 64 themes were.
I've heard the Melee theme a whole lot because I actually had Melee as a Wii one, and I played it a lot with my brother.
I only played it at my friend Sam's house, who had a Gamed Cube.
A Gamed Cube, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Gamed Cube. It was my first console, actually. Interestingly enough.
And go on. Sorry.
Well, there's an anecdote I want to tell there, but say what you wanted to say first.
My console history is Mega Drive from the street, and then PS1 from the street, then 2 PS2s from the street, then an Xbox that someone gave me, and then a Wii that we actually bought. And that's why I mostly played Brawl. Oh, and then after that, Xbox and Switch. Xbox 360.
I played Brawl and Melee the most, I believe. Smash for the Wii U. By that time, I had already pretty much moved out of my parents' house, and I wasn't playing it very much. And my brother wasn't there anymore either, so I didn't really have anyone to compete against, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I've only ever played Smash solo, don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
No, I haven't really played Smash with anyone since primary school. Because fighting game online is always bad, and Nintendo isn't even at the less bad end of the scale there. And I don't blame them, everyone fucking sucks. Capcom sucks. And they made the fighting game.
They made the fighting game. The only one.
The one that used to be the fighting game.
That's true.
Nowadays it looks ugly, and the story mode is just like a slideshow with just still images that look like they were done by someone on DeviantArt.
And also, there's advertisements plastered on every character now.
Yeah, on Dhalsim, who is like a monk, and Ryu, who is literally a homeless man who probably doesn't know what a passport is. Like, Ryu is so dedicated to punching that I don't think he's never shown any, like, I've seen people discuss this who know a lot more about Street Fighter than me, and like in most of the Capcom produced stuff, he doesn't really show awareness of things outside of martial arts. It's likely that Ken like ferries him around, because otherwise, like, Ryu has a passport, but he probably doesn't know what it is or what it's for. It's like Ken holds on to it, and when they need to travel, Ken just tells him what to do, and Ryu's just silent and like thinking about kicks or something.
I'm thinking about kicking the sky right now. Ooh.
He's thinking about the best kicks and the most righteous and honourable kicks.
But, you know, whenever I think of fighting games, I just also am always reminded of that one book that was made into a really tone-deaf movie by a very famous director.
That doesn't narrow it down at all.
Pardon me?
That doesn't narrow it down at all.
Well, you'll know. Well, it's about a fighting game.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about how many well, not about fighting games specifically, but how many books were adapted into really tone-deaf movies by famous directors.
Yeah. I mean, I love my man Kubrick, but man, fuck what he did to most of his book adaptations, and fuck most of his decisions to make movies out of books that are bad too. But what I'm specifically talking about is Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club.
Oh.
And
yeah,
you know,
that was made into a weird fighting game.
Yeah, and like, you know what about that one? That one really is reminiscent of the story mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, everyone has an evil self that was brought out by the evil wing people things.
Their shadow, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the end, you realize
Persona 4 speech.
Yeah, and then in the end, you realize that's just what they were all along. Because, like, the main character of Fight Club doesn't have a second personality, he's just a twat.
Yeah.
And then there's all of this fashion talk.
I think the more accurate term is bastard.
Bastard, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, like, God, fighting is
Twat's a very root word in America. Yeah. I don't know why. Not gonna edit it out.
Fight Club is a good book, but a terrible movie, because like the movie is reduces a lot of the anti-illusionist elements of the book, and like the book like really brings out the fact that, hey, this guy is a bad idiot who does bad things and does not deserve your sympathy. Which the movie does not.
I've seen
manage.
Some fairly positive readings of the movie, at least in terms of like it at least somewhat preserves the message. It's just that it doesn't. It's too subtle for the small, smooth brains of the people the message would actually benefit.
Yeah, indeed. DDD.
The wrinkles are where the smart is stored. They're like the shelves of a library bookcase. That's how brains work. You heard it here first.
Yeah, like, it's just like the outer layer of the brain, where all of the outer layer of the brain is where all of the books.
The brain's
are
like a CD,
yeah,
and all the information is on the outside, which is why the wrinkly brains have more, because they have more surface area.
yeah, exactly.
That's actually dangerously close to being correct.
Yeah, it is.
It's not information storage, it's connection.
I've done my high
still.
school finals on the brain, and that is dangerously close to correct.
It's not bullshit enough to be a good joke.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. We tried.
We tried to be idiots.
I think I'm still pretty much an idiot, but boy howdy, do I sure know about video games.
Yeah, I think honestly it's gonna get old if we keep up with that joke, because we're bad enough at keeping on topic even when we're trying. So we can pretty much, like, as long as we make no effort to improve, the integrity of this podcast will be, well, it will continue to not exist.
Kai.
Yeah.
Kai.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pry that joke out of my cold dead hands, I'm afraid.
Suit yourself.
I am
Anyway,
a dumbass.
6 frames of input lag, huh?
6 frames of input lag.
Yeah.
What are you talking about here?
This the topic of this episode.
Oh, which is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah.
Apparently the decision was made to insert those because in Japan you basically know how long it's going to take for the information to get there over the internet, and it was done to keep the single player feeling consistent with multiplayer, because if in Japan and nowhere else it will take exactly 1/10 of a second for a round trip basically of the information.
Okay.
And that's all very well and good, but just don't do that in single player. People who are like into it enough to notice 6 frames of input lag are just going to be upset that it's there when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I get that.
Also, just don't play fighting games online.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. They don't work.
I just remembered that I wanted to tell you an anecdote regarding Melee at one point.
Yes.
So, my brother and I just fucking completely unlocked everything in Melee at one point. But you know how on the Game at Cube, oftentimes it was a lot cheaper to get one of those shitty, like, replica memory cards than, like, an actual Nintendo-branded one?
That was every pre-hard drive console.
Yeah, exactly. In every pre-hardware hard drive console, that was pretty much the case. And we had one that had like a lot of storage space, and it got corrupted one day, and we lost all of that fucking progress. I cried like a little dummy.
That's a good thing about getting your consoles off the street. The memory card isn't that much of an investment in that case. So you can also get off the street. I don't think I've ever bought a PS2 memory card.
Okay.
But, yeah. So, here, I guess, it's not really a thing anymore because people can actually sell things on the internet now. But, if you're all given the chance, if you see a Xbox on the road or something, just take that.
Scavenge for video games.
Yeah, that's what I used to have to do on the mean streets of Fulham.
Oh man, that reminds me of another thing. That reminds me of In the Country of Last Things by Paul Auster, and of the of the concept of the scrap collector not Thomas, but Walter Benjamin's philosophy, scrap collector, as the human being in the modernist times, or something like that.
Oh.
Most of Walter Benjamin's philosophy is pretty hard to grasp, but you might know about Why are you sending me a picture of an extremely wrinkly mouse eating popcorn in the middle of this, our serious podcast, Kai?
My friend sent it to me. I thought I'd send it to you because it made me laugh.
That's a junk boy. It's chunky. Oh.
That's the thing, though. That mouse isn't wrinkly. It's just... Well, it's not abnormally wrinkly. That's just what happens when they are like that. But the fur covers it.
That's the sound this mouse makes. It's so good.
I'll send it to other people as well.
Do that, please. About Walter Benjamin, though. I mean, you've been to college. You've been to art college specifically, so I think you were probably like tortured with one of Walter Benjamin's books at one point.
No, because there wasn't a lot of thing. There wasn't a lot of theory. It was mostly practical work.
Ah, okay.
So there wasn't a lot of reading to be done.
Probably because it was illustration and not fine art, right?
It was fine art.
Oh, it was fine art. Oh, that's really
but
interesting.
But yeah, it was very. It wasn't like a high level thing at all.
Yeah.
Which is probably why.
Oh, just a second. Needs to type something to Terry for a second.
Go ahead.
Okay, done.
Nice.
Whew. Yeah, like, there's this one essay about, that most people who have, like, any education in, like, an artistic field have to read. It's called The Artwork in the Age of, its Technical Reproducibility, I think. That one is the one that most people were tortured with.
Okay, it sounds irrelevant to me ideologically.
I'm
sorry. I'm not saying don't talk about it, but I'm guessing it's about like the diminished value of art in a world where almost anything can be flawlessly reproduced en masse.
It isn't about the diminished value of art. It is about the changing of art. In the world, the way that art changes to adapt to that sort of thing. Because according to Benjamin, it loses its religious aspect in a way. Religious as in an aura, the aura of the art. The fact that it is no longer just contained to an art gallery or the like, and it no longer has that ritual attached to it, but can just like be reproduced, can be hung up in any living room, and can be used as a postcard, etc., etc.
Cool, but hard disagree.
Oh.
First of all, like, Catholicism may be the biggest merchandiser in the world. For a start, so the religion argument kind of falls down in the face of religious artifacts being like produced en masse in China in injection molds and dumped into bins to be bought wholesale and sold to people to put around their necks and hang on their walls and stuff. And like, if you're comparing art to spirituality and ritual, it is an extremely subjective and culture-specific thing.
Well,
So
I'm only giving a very short summary, and it's also filtered for my understanding of it.
I'm not getting any of this because you're craft working pretty hard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's the pipes and the tubes that make up the internet being clogged full of rats.
That's really weird.
It'll blow
What is
over
the
soon
problem
enough.
right now?
They heard what you said.
I can hear you perfectly, but
I'll
my
hear
voice
what you
is barely
said
coming out.
when I edit.
Now it's better. According to Discord. Hello, Kai? Oh, nice. Now I can't hear you. Wonderful.
Oh,
Hello?
okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Hey. So here's where you find out, folks, that we're doing this all in the Discord call. And... yeah.
I mean, all of them are like that now. I think the McElroys still use Skype. But it's more out of necessity than anything else.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to move my pop guard, which doesn't work, as I learned last time.
Yeah, my pop guard doesn't work either, so I don't use it anymore. Especially because the Blue Yeti, which is the mic I'm using, is really bad at keeping things affixing things to it and having those things stay where they are.
I have a horrifying gestalt of a cheap boom, and the pop guard is kind of bolted to the side of that, and the microphone is actually just kind of clipped to the mount that it's meant to be screwed onto. I'm going to put a bit of paper over my pop guard and see if that helps. Because then it's just the vibrations I get through.
Oh, those are lovely sounds. We should keep those in.
Good. Yeah, I don't think I have a choice because I was talking while I was doing that.
I do think it, diminishes the audio quality a bit, though. Okay.
Who? No, that's bad. Breathe on it, it moves. No. We'll just have the pops.
Yeah, let's have the pops.
I don't...
You gotta have the pops.
I don't think audio quality is a bankable feature of this podcast, if I'm honest. I'm surprised it turned out as good as it did.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping my expectations low.
Should we keep talking about things actually related to the podcast?
So I like in Smash Brothers, spoiler warning, where you fight Dracul.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's in there. I'm pretty sure I haven't actually played Symphony of the Night because I'm a true gamer, but I'm pretty sure it's just the boss fight from Symphony of the Night. It's certainly the design from Symphony of the Night, and as such, it's easiest to defeat him as a Belmont.
Oh wow! Huh.
Yeah, I was trying all different characters, and no, it's just the Belmonts that work good, or at least the one I had at the time, and they all work very similarly. Sorry, I've got phlegm.
I've never actually read Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I really should sometime.
I've watched Bram Stoker's Dracula with Neo Matrix in it.
Huh.
And there's also a dog.
Oh.
There's lots of special effects, which are all practical. There's a lot. It's very, horny in an uncomfortable heterosexual way.
Oh no.
And I think it's meant to be horny. Well, the thing is, I can never tell. I think it was meant to be, bad horny. But you can't always tell.
Yeah.
Because some people in the public sphere don't know what good horny is.
Yeah, indeed you do.
But it made me uncomfortable.
These days.
Yeah, it made me uncomfortable, and I think that was the point.
Okay.
But I like not being uncomfortable. So I feel conflicted about media that just makes me feel bad. Even if it was meant to do that, it's like, okay. I don't want it, though.
I like certain media that makes me feel uncomfortable, but only if there's a point to it.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I can appreciate good horror, especially the more surreal stuff. But sometimes it's just like, yeah, you freak me the fuck out, but it, in the sense that just eating a bunch of powdered sugar gives you a buzz.
Yeah.
It's not much of an experience. It's just a hit. And like giving someone just kind of a visceral hit like that isn't a completely like skillless cop out. Like you still need to put some work into it. But it's still not a fine. I don't like wine, but like say like a fine wine is a allegory which is culturally pertinent to this conversation. It's just like even though it takes work to do, it still feels empty.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Anyway, you throw axe at him, which I think is neutral B, and because only you gotta hit his head. Because it's a video game.
Video game.
And then you kill Dracul, and it's like, yeah. But then he turns into Satan. Which he also does in the movie with Neo Matrix in it. That's what we call Keanu Reeves here at Definitely a Video Game Podcast.
Have you
Episode
ever...
1.
Have you seen Red Supre's playthrough of the sequel to Dracula?
Probably, but a lot of them have kind of blurred together into like a mess.
It's
like
the one with the fucking carriage riders who all have terrible fucking British accents.
Oh, I have, yeah. Yeah,
I watched that one when Terry was here.
I know the one you were talking about, but I still don't remember a lot about it just because there's so many bad accents. It's all very blurry with a low color depth and frame rate.
Yeah.
It all just feels like you have a fever and are on a lot of cough medicine.
Oh no.
And you're like watching some cheesy shite at like 3 a.m. because you can't sleep. And you're oxygen deprived because you can't breathe.
Oh no, Kai!
That's how like shit old garbage feels to me, unless there's something else to differentiate it.
Yeah, I get that.
Or it's just like low video quality.
There's
of life.
There's two things I loved about that particular playthrough, though. The first one was the game rather. The first one was the fact that the main character, instead of saving anyone, falls asleep. Just fucking falls asleep out of nowhere.
Yeah,
useless as hell.
A lot of those games were not so much like subversive. They were more. It more kind of just felt like the people who made them had never consumed media and don't understand media or how it works.
Well, the only media the guys that made this particular game consumed was probably Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then they were just like, we have found the zenith of culture. There's nothing else we need to consume now. Well, I guess we can program this thing called video games.
But even then, they didn't seem to have, like... Because Bram Stoker's Dracula is kind of a coherent narrative. Which none of these games are.
Yeah.
They just kind of seem to be a sequence of things occurring. With, like, that's why they feel, like, so dreamy. and so like illusory and vague and hallucinatory is because they don't tend to have a strong logical through line.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Which is weird because World of Light does. It's actually surprisingly like there's enough theming that and like enough of a sort of like slow escalation into the weirder. It's just like a game board, but the art on it like changes, and at first it's kind of like a playmat, like a Nintendo themed playmat, and then it starts getting surreal and there's like weird geometries and stuff going on in the later areas, but it makes sense because there's like a progression. So even though it's a thing with no dialogue, you still kind of get, oh, we're getting closer to the fucking Shoggoth, which caused this situation.
Oh, this is quite interesting. I should really play World of Light someday, because here's where you find out I've actually barely played any Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I have the game, I've unlocked a few characters, but that's really not difficult in this particular one.
Yeah. Well, they have to make it easier because there are 915.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone is here. They say there's like 76 different characters?
It's actually into the 80s, but some of them are clones. But yeah,
okay. Although
everyone is here.
Yeah. Another thing where everyone is here, though, is Leo Tolstoy's seminal work, War and Peace.
Oh. That's good.
In fact,
I didn't know that was written by Leo Tolstoy.
It was written by Leo Tolstoy.
I mostly heard the title and the author's name, like, distinct from each other.
Yeah. War and Peace is basically like just a shorthand for someone who's smart in popular culture. Just like, oh, they're reading War and Peace, they must be a smart guy. Even Odie from Garfield reads War and Peace when nobody's around.
Isn't that because it's like the size of a... Like the book itself is the size of like an all-in-one printer?
Oh, no, it is by far not, actually. I have finished a book that's longer than War and Peace in the past. The Man Without Qualities is like 3 times the size of War and Peace. But
I must have been confusing it with some other classic literature, which most people haven't actually read.
Maybe you meant In Search for Lost Time?
Maybe.
Or I think, what's it called in English? It's they used like a Shakespeare quote for the way that they translated it.
There's a very specific era of writing from like the late 18 to the mid 20, the like late 19th to the mid 20th century, where people were basically paid by the word.
Yeah,
and they just went fucking hog wild and. Like, just when, like, that basically created Dickens' writing style. Like, where, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, instead of, like, it was a complicated era, or something. Like, because he wrote serials, and you were paid by the word. So he made the words. He did. He made those fucking words so he could eat.
But the reason that War and Peace is so revered and like said to be a book for smart people, and also the reason it is
better
than Smash Ultimate is there's so many characters in it, so fucking many, more than any one human being should ever be expected to keep track of.
I kind of assume that
there are 559 different fighters in War and Peace, and you can select all of them, and all of them have a story arc. And
so it's like what's it called, Fate? That series.
Yeah, exactly.
I only know in terms of it having a lot of characters.
Yeah, War and Peace has 559 unique characters.
Yeah, you need to excuse me. I do need to blow my nose.
Do that.
You can keep talking or whatever. Editor's note. For your comfort and enjoyment, I've edited out the nose noises. Yeah,
And
you know,
obviously-
I assumed...
Yeah?
I assumed War and Peace was like a non-fiction work. Just from the name. I didn't know it was I didn't know it was an anime.
Are you saying that One Piece is an adaptation of War and Peace? Might be. Might very well be. At least with the amount of characters.
I wouldn't be
by
surprised
the way,
if there's a
that's-
War and
that's-
Peace anime.
By the way, that's actually pretty much everything I know about War and Peace, because I have not read the book in its entirety yet. I've started, but
Yeah,
I've
it
started
doesn't-
so many books.
I do non-essential things for like recreation and enjoyment. So if I think something won't be good, I don't do it. Such as reading War and Peace. I haven't, and I never will.
There are books that I think are better than War and Peace, but War and Peace is, by definition, with the amount of the playable characters in it, better than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I believe that's a good stopping point if you are in agreement.
As we gamers know, quantity is always the most important thing, more than bug testing, mechanical depth, variety. All of those things are less important than like raw quantity. Like it doesn't matter. Smash Brothers should have 900 characters. It doesn't matter if they're all King K. Rool. A naming choice which the creator himself regrets. There should be more characters. The game should be 167 gigabytes, and all of it is just like it's the same King K. Rool model, but the extra space is different textures for him.
Do people hate King K. Rool in that game that much?
I've had people saying they don't like him.
I love playing as him.
Yeah, I don't understand what makes people like things in fighting games. Not that Smash is one, but I don't understand. Like, I guess input based, one-on-one, two-dimensional games. Like, I have fun or I don't, and that's about. Because I'm never going to make one, so I don't know how they work, so I don't care. And I just play them, and I have or not fun on it. So people are like, oh, King K. Rool sucks. And I'm like, okay. And then someone else is like, oh, I really like playing as King K. Rool. And I'm like, okay. And then I think, does he suck to play as or to play against? And with whom of the other 86 people does he suck to play against? And, like, people are like, oh, yeah, Ridley's shit. But, like, every time I face Ridley in World of Light, he beats the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot of really, like, I think it's side B or whatever. It's like a free grapple, where he, like, drags you across the ground like he does a Samus sometimes. And that's a pretty strong move. And he likes to do it a lot. So I feel like if people say Ridley's bad, maybe they're referring to the fact that he has a difficult move to deal with. Because being able to do that to people seems like it'd be useful in a video game.
Yeah, I see.
I haven't played as him much because I mostly play as a ghost.
I think we should stop here though, because I'm getting quite tired all of a sudden.
Cool. Short episode.
Yeah, this episode was pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Still not
it's not like
extremely
we're
well
being paid by the
structured,
minute.
but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be easy for me to edit.
Yeah. This one, there weren't too many like awkward pauses and such in there, and
Neither
I
of
was
us
sort
have-
of, yeah.
neither of us have said anything we haven't already regretted in a different situation.
Yeah.
Plugging real quick. I should really do this. I should really, like, prepare or something.
Should I plug first?
Yeah, go ahead. If you've already typed in Patreon.
Yeah, my Patreon is patreon.com/ARIADNESCHIMMLIER. Don't worry, I'm gonna shorten the URL soon. Namely, I'm gonna shorten it to Indietne, INDIEDNE. That's my Patreon, if you wanna check that out. And Kai, what's yours?
My Patreon is the Patreon part, and then KYRART, and yeah, that's Kyra. I'm also Kyra Does Art on Twitter, and Kyra on away.space and other parts of the Fediverse, as they call it. In terms of patrons, I would like to thank you, my mum, and Jennifer Driscoll.
I don't even... Hold on, let me get my Patreon list, actually, because I don't have it right now.
Yeah, it's... Wow. I've made almost $100 from Patreon over the course of, like, 2 or 3 years. It's not actually that good, is it? Not even breaking even at the moment.
No.
Actually, I think I'm like getting as much as I donate.
Okay. Patrons. I would like to thank Andy Zhao, Cyanic Knight, Faye, Johannes Ambrosch, you, Kai,
Hello.
Luke Reese, Mika Cayley, Miko Perarinta, Oscar, Ryoska, the guy who keeps like throwing $100 bills in my mailbox, Samadi Delphi, Soren, Yukiko, and Zoe Crowling.
Cool. I think
right.
that's all.
Let's stop recording,
today.
shall we?
Yeah. Cool. Bye, everyone.